Oh, you're crazy. It's so awesome to have you guys on, really. I mean, geez, I think haven't I been waiting for this for quite a while? Right,
Yeah,
we've been chatting about this. All right. So I know we've given people short notice and that we can get you guys on, but it's going to be absolutely awesome. So I just want to bring up your volume level a little bit, and let's see if we get people watching. We might get a couple of people coming in with comments, and then you know how to alter their warm ups, right?
yeah.
Okay, you're going to warm up on 15 reps of your max.
Seems logical to me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, all right. Yeah, welcome to Coffee and Conversations, Rebecca and Craig Coggles.
Yeah.
Not what I just called you in the Instagram video, Coogles. So, all right, brilliant. So now you guys are coming out to South Africa again. We met last time in Sun City, I think at World Bench, right?
Yeah, correct. We
That's
were
right.
both there.
That was awesome. I think you did some pretty cool stuff there as well, Rebecca, right? You kind of rocked a
Yeah.
bit. Absolutely.
I
So
tried.
no, you did brilliantly. So what's cool now about us doing this live, people can drop comments or questions, and then we'll share them on the stream. So with you guys. So sort of technically, this is a live stream. So I think Rebecca, let's start with you. Can you give us a brief introduction to who you are?
So I'm Rebecca Bex. I am a GB powerlifter. So I've been powerlifting for about 5 or 6 years now. Yeah. Um, and I compete with the Masters team now. For the last 2 years, I've been competing as a Masters athlete, and I do both full power and bench press only.
Okay, brilliant. No, nothing wrong with bench press only. It's
That's my favourite, but I'm not allowed to just do that.
yeah. Okay. When you're born with arms as short as mine, your bench press becomes a fun thing. All right. I'm not sure if I shared this with you, but for 2 years in my early career, because of my back injuries, I was deadlifting and squatting a maximum of 125, but I was benching 165. So I was driving my coach, Rodney Anthony, absolutely nuts at the time. I can see Craig's eye going like this. Yeah. Oh, all right, and then Craig, give us a little bit of an intro as to who you are.
So I'm one of the GB and one of the England coaches. Recently started competing in bench only equipped, and I've been competing with GB open equipped team, bench only, and I'm coming out to the Commonwealth to compete for England in the equipped bench.
Okay, brilliant. And we've got a comment from Totally Awesome Taylor. The Coggles are quite literally the power couple, or the Great Britain power couple. Love them. Absolutely. What a very, very cool name as well, hey? Totally Awesome Taylor. Brilliant. Okay. So and but Craig, you've done something that not a lot of powerlifters do. It starts with an R. I can't pronounce it correctly. You ran a race.
Yeah, so I've done a couple of Ironman triathlons and a couple of 70.3s. My
Right.
actual background is in endurance running.
Okay, sure.
So
Was that
crazy.
like a throwover from your rugby days, or was it just some?
It was kind of at the same time, in fairness. So yeah, so I was doing endurance running and rugby at the same time.
All right, brilliant. So I wanted to ask you guys, and either of you can answer. What does rugby mean to rugby? Sorry, what is power? Wow, hang on a second. I'm going to have another coffee here. What does powerlifting mean to you guys?
I'll let you take this one. Okay. So powerlifting to me is something that I just tried it out once and I loved it. The community um, that is built around powerlifting. We've made some really close friends from it, and then the confidence that it gives me outside of the gym as well as in the gym. So to me, it's that community and the confidence that is given me.
What's it like for you being strong, developing your strength, discovering your strength?
Yeah, that was a bit crazy because I kind of accidentally discovered the strength, um, and then it's kind of developed and grown. But I'm much stronger
Rather.
now than I thought I ever would be.
Right. Absolutely. And like for as a lady, what does being strong mean to you? Because traditionally, and for people who aren't really involved in powerlifting or strength sports, the sort of, the men are strong and the ladies aren't really that strong. And, you don't need anyone to open a jar of pickles for you. So what's
I do.
that been like? Yeah, yeah. Craig, are you bringing the jar of pickles?
Yeah.
Love
Yeah,
it.
I think it's the being strong. It's helped me not only like it's not only physically strong but mentally strong outside of the gym. Um, because of that confidence that I get from being in the gym, and like you sometimes feel people watching you and thinking, God, she's really strong. And the feedback you get from other people helps you outside of there. So even with like when I was applying for my last job role, I was applying for something that I would never normally have applied for because I think as a woman, when I grew up back in the late 80s, early 90s, we were kind of told that we had to be not we didn't really shout about our achievements because it was shown as braggy rather than so there was things that I was like, I don't have that qualification, I won't apply for it. Whereas
Right.
now, outside of the gym, because I'm strong outside the gym physically and mentally, I think, do you know what? I think I could do that, so I'm going to give it a go.
Absolutely brilliant. And how's that been working for you? How has that changed your life?
Yeah, it's worked out pretty well. I've got jobs that I never would have applied for historically. I do things now that I just in the past I would think to myself, oh, I'm not going to do that because I can't do it. I won't even try. Whereas now, if there's something that I want to try, I'll go for it and give it a go.
Absolutely brilliant. Craig, we will give you a chance to speak, I promise.
No, don't
Um,
worry.
and also to our viewers, let us have your comments. We'll share them on the screen. Any comments or questions for Rebecca and for Craig. So, the one thing that's come across to me in these interviews, chatting particularly to the ladies, is the sense of community within the gym. Powerlifting is a wonderful community at competitions, meeting people from around the world, but there's something very special for the ladies in the gym. And that's I get that as a sense where it's really a safe place, a place to grow and develop. What's it like for you with your training community?
So I'm probably one of the few. I don't have a massive training community because most of my training's done at home on my own or with Craig, or we'll go to a local like commercial gym.
Right,
Um, it's the minority of my training that's done where we go and meet up with other people, other powerlifters, where those weekends here or there kind of keep me going for the rest of the time. Otherwise, I'm quite solitary in my training, aren't I?
Yeah, but I'd say you've got quite a good connection of people through social media,
Yeah,
which you chat to on a regular basis and
yeah.
comment. Not that you share much of your training, but like comment on training videos and chat. And but so I think not necessarily. It's not always the community within the gym, is it? It's the
right.
community that you've built wider
Yeah.
around the
Absolutely.
world.
For sure.
So
100%. So, Craig, let me ask you, how did you get involved in powerlifting? How did you discover the sport?
there's this one. So um,
Well, then back to Rebecca. Rebecca, how did you discover?
so I'm a coach by trade,
Yep.
and Bex wanted to do an online program from another coach.
It was back in the days where I
Hold
didn't
on,
listen
hang
to
on,
my
hold on
husband.
1 second. What? Okay, tell us more.
So she needed to know her 1 rep maxes, and she'd never tested them before. So I said,
Right.
come to the gym. We'll spend a few hours, and we'll just do all of your testing, and then you know how to run the program. So when she was running her testing, I was like, "Do you realise you're actually really strong?" I
Yeah.
was like, "I believe there's a sport called powerlifting. You like maybe we should have a look and see if you can give it a go." And that's
We learnt it together.
Yes, that's how we started going in powerlifting.
Oh, brilliant. So you really had
So,
no choice in terms of starting.
No,
I
I
mean, Craig had no choice. Yeah.
yeah. Well,
Oh, thank.
he said give it a go. So I said I would train towards one competition and see if I liked it. And
yeah.
then
Right.
6 years later, I think we've come a
Absolutely.
long way.
There's a running joke because at her first competition, all the benches were busy as they would be.
Right.
So
Yep.
she did a couple of press ups before she opened her bench press.
Right. Oh wow! There's one of my favorite stories with South African powerlifting. There's a lifter, Tracy Ludwig, and she was busy warming up for her opening squat, but she was still warming up while they were calling her. And I think she just started her warm up. I think it was like her coach's first comp. They'd come up from Durban in a towel. And like she raced out, and then I think she just opened on a 180, after just warming up on the bar. So
Wow.
yeah, kind of same kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's cool. But I always asked her, I said, what makes you so strong? He says, well, after training, the ice cream van comes past and my coach will only let me have a lolly or an ice cream if if I've been training really well. So you guys have been in the sport for quite a while. I mean, 6 years. What does powerlifting mean to you?
To me, so
Mm,
I mean, powerlifting, it's probably more echoing the same. It's like it's a great community. I've made a lot of friends that I never would have had, like outside of this sport, So, we've got to travel, we've got to meet amazing people in amazing places, we get to experience like when else would we go to Mongolia? So
absolutely. Sure.
so for us it's been a great sort of like growing expeditions as like people and within the sport, so learning the sport, developing within the sport, and just getting to know lots of people around the
Yes,
world. So for me, yeah, powerlifting is probably more about the community than anything else.
100%. What's it meant to you being able to represent your country, Craig, and at the highest
Oh,
levels in sport?
yeah, I mean, never thought I was going to, so it's been an awesome experience. It's been a bit of a whirlwind experience into competing in powerlifting. Obviously, I've been coaching in powerlifting for a few years, and the equip team chucked me in a shirt, and then before I knew it, I was at a competition.
Right.
So So yeah, it's been a bit of a whirlwind. I've probably not had time to process it yet, in fairness,
Right. It's
because I
very,
think
yeah.
from putting a shirt on to being at World Championships was like 10 months.
Oh, wow.
So
So it does become a problem when your athletes start to bully you right into competing and coming back onto the platform. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Um, as a coach and now as an athlete, what do you find more stressful, competing or coaching?
um, I'm more invested in coaching than I am competing,
Right.
which is probably the way to be. Um, it's strange. I'm invested a lot more in my athletes than I am myself. I get a lot more excited
Yes.
if one of my athletes hits a PB or has a really good job comp or something like that than if I hit PB myself.
Right.
So I wouldn't say it's more. It is stressful, but I think it's good because you get to share that experience with someone. Um,
Right. Well, I mean, that was leading me into my next question, which is what is more rewarding for you? And you've answered that.
yeah, so I think they're one and the same sort of question, really.
Right.
So I love competing for my country and I love competing in powerlifting, but um, coaching and handling probably is 100% more where my mental focus and where my emotion is. So
Yes. Is handling at competition and coaching more cardio than, than running a road race?
it can be at times.
You go
So,
lots and lots of running, particularly in the deadlift and the bench only events, right? With
yeah,
the
well, I mean
temp changes. Yep.
that's why I have to do run training just so I can make sure I'm
You,
good at the comps.
you can get it done, and absolutely. So, Rebecca, for you representing your country, what has that meant to you? I mean, is that something that you were ever expecting to do?
No, it's something that I never ever expected, and it it, it, it is one of my proudest achievements is representing my country. Um, it's not something that I ever envisaged happening. Uh, but again, it's not something that's really sunk in because as much as I've been competing for Great Britain for 2 or 3 years now, it's always
Your
this
eyes went
competition,
like,
straight
yeah,
back to work, and then on to the next one, and back to work, and
yes,
there's not really a a break because with it being such a like it's self-funded and sport, everything is there's no time to rest and actually look back on what you've achieved. It's compete, work, compete, work.
Yeah. I think that's really, I mean, that is an athlete, and I suppose an amateur athlete where it's not, where you're having to run a life as well outside of the sport. So we have we have a question here from Totally Awesome Taylor. Let me pop this up here for you. And question for Bex: is there a title or record you've got your eye on for 2025?
This is a very leading one. No, no, there isn't.
Uh,
So
I'm going to go like this, like, all right, no more questions, no more. No.
no, it would be nice to be able to get back the squat world record that I have had.
Mm-hmm.
Monique Bodie did absolutely fantastic at the Open Worlds, where she was able to send that record so much further up the river that it's a little bit out of reach. We'll
Right.
see.
Yeah.
But it that would be a nice one to get back, I think. But I think titles wise, I just take them one competition at a time. These World Championships, same as last World Championships, it's kind of just for fun because there's so many people in the mix, and the podium, again, I said it last year, it's kind of a little bit out of reach. I need to have an amazing day to get there, which I managed to do last year, so hopefully I can do the same again this year. But I just take them one competition at a time and give that my all, and as long
Yes.
as I've done my best, I'm happy with my performance, really.
Okay, 100%. You mentioned now also that, it's the challenge. You've got to lift, compete, work, lift, compete, work. Obviously, and I don't know how many people that are not in the community are aware that everything's pretty much self-funded. There's not a lot of support, and that's one of the reasons we've started these podcasts, is to help the athletes and the coaches maybe get a little bit more public exposure and the possibility of a little bit more sponsorship and assistance. In the ideal world, assuming powerlifting isn't yet an Olympic sport, what would you guys like to see happening in terms of support for the athletes? Maybe from a sports ministry point of view, or corporate and so on.
I'll let you take that one.
Oh God.
um,
I think it needs to be grown from like the junior divisions up. So unfortunately, like as much as I know masters lifters need support as well, I
Mm,
think for the sport to keep growing and developing the way it is, we need to be developing the junior and sub junior lifters through the sport, and whether that's like increasing funding to get them away to competitions like South Africa and things like that, so we can keep their interest, we can keep them ignited, we can keep them competing against other people around the world, and then hopefully in like 4 to 6 years' time, we can have some really decent open lifters coming up through the ranks into the open team.
right.
So I think that's where the sponsorship and stuff needs to go. As much as I'd like to say, I think everyone needs a sponsorship.
Yes,
You know, I think we need some
absolutely.
like JPB companies or something to sponsor us.
Yeah, we need forklift company.
A forklift. Well, I want to give a call out to Nestle, because they make strong coffee, strong
Yeah,
lifters. There we go.
Yeah,
Yeah. If we look at some of the professional sports, like football, for example, I mean, your entire team could survive and travel the world on one football player's weekly wage, kind of thing. What is so valuable within powerlifting? What makes powerlifting different that would really be good in terms of its athletes, its culture, its community for sponsors to get involved with?
I think that it's a very open sport, you know, so like you can be the smallest person in the world or you can be the biggest person in the world.
Mm,
And we've got a division for you, you know. So it's very inclusive throughout, you know. So as long as you can hit the minimum requirements of the sport, there's a place for you within the sport, you know. So obviously there are certain rules that you need to be able to follow, but as long as you
mm,
can meet all of the requirements, it's a very open and inclusive sport.
right.
Not everyone can run, not everyone can jump, and not everyone can swim. So, you know, there's barriers to entry with those sports. So I know there are some barriers to entry with powerlifting, but I think as a general whole, you can slip nearly anyone into a powerlifting meet, and they're going to have a good time. They're going to make friends, and you know they're going to develop as a person.
Absolutely. Uh,
Very rarely is getting stronger an issue. So as a
yeah.
sport, it's very good for your health as well.
So I think, and that's such a great point. As a coach, there's two questions I want to ask you. Firstly, what have you seen within some of the youth that you've worked with? I know, like meeting Noah last year and watching his progress from this tiny little guy through to, he's bulking up, he's getting stronger. It's the most wonderful thing to see. With the youth lifting, how have you seen it change them and improve the quality of their lives, how they think about themselves, how they believe in themselves?
Yeah, I think that I think they're all very confident in a good way. Um, they're all developing really fast. I mean, and some of the kids now are so strong.
Yep.
Like, I don't know what they're feeding them nowadays, but I definitely wasn't fed that when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like, I know the research is a lot better. You know,
Mm,
there's a lot more information out there for people on how to get stronger, which is obviously paying off with the kids. But I'm yet to find a junior athlete who has hated going to a competition. So,
absolutely.
I,
and that
Yep.
they're all loving developing themselves, aren't they?
I think you see the change in personalities as well a lot more in the younger girls. Like if you see a girl from one competition to the next, with it being her first competition, and then say 6 months later, the difference in that that young girl can be night and day. Like she could have been so unconfident and so sort of quiet and in the background in one competition, and then the next one, by the time you see her again, because she's been training and um, has had like strength gains, probably been in a gym with other guys, sort of hyping her up as well. And then when by the time she comes back to the next competition, she's a completely different person with like bubbling with confidence a
Oh,
lot of the
that's
time.
how big a role does the community and the community support play in that?
I mean, the junior sections they're very good at sort of like organising themselves into like meeting up for training and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So I think they develop their own communities quite quickly. I think the exposure into, you know, being on a platform in an international competition is a high stress environment.
Yeah.
You know, so as a junior lifter, I think those environments help them grow a lot in confidence. You know, because if they can come through an international competition relatively unscathed, you know,
Yep.
what that's going to do for their confidence is like, tremendous. So I think that helps the junior lifters a lot. They make a lot of friends along the way.
Yep.
You know, there was a competition recently, and there was two people who were really friendly with each other, like best mates. And we were like, if they met in school, they would hate each other. So it's obviously meeting at a powerlifting comp that's brought them together.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
So
absolutely. That's such a wonderful point, because it's when we find something common, because sometimes we have certain personality traits that can drive other people mad. But when we have this in common and we support one another, it's a great way to build relationships. So, Craig, for you, we have another question from Totally Awesome Taylor. What's the most challenging about coaching at international level? Question for Craig.
what's most challenging? So you so you could meet a lifter for the first time at the
Mm-hmm.
competition, and you've got a very short period of time to talk to them. To it's not necessarily so you've got to quiz them without quizzing them. So
Yeah.
I'll give an example of like being at I think it was Europeans a couple of years ago, and I'd met a lifter for the first time, but through some general like chat, I managed to find out that she'd been ill
Right.
the previous night. She had not slept. Her flight was late. Her stuff was delayed. So she had all of these stressors on her which I now had to try and manage with someone who I'd never met before. So I didn't know how to manage their stressors.
Sure.
So I think the most stressful, the most challenging part of coaching at an international is trying to get information out of an athlete without them
Right.
realizing you're trying to quiz them,
Yes.
and then how you deal with that information. So do we need to keep an eye on them, or they fine to keep going the way they are? Need to try and work out if they've given us a realistic opener, because you
Right.
don't want someone to come to a competition and bomb.
Yeah.
So you've got the warm ups to work out if their opener is realistic, and then when they're on the platform, you've got to try and work out what sort of jumps you can give them. So that's probably the most challenging part. And
Right.
potentially, say like a bench only competition, you could have 90 athletes you've never met before.
Wow. So
So
if you were going to speak to the athlete, well, you are now, what advice would you give to an athlete who's never worked with a coach, or with a specific coach? How do they make the coach's life as easy as possible?
be realistic in your expectations. So you need to be very, very verbal and communicate a lot with the coaches. Maybe not necessarily before the event, but on when you arrive at the event, make sure you're coming prepared. If it's your first competition on an international platform, just ease your numbers off a little bit. You're better to get on the board and have a good day than you are to go out and bomb.
Absolutely.
You know, so like you build your total, you don't start at your total. So ease off your openers a little bit so you can settle your nerves, and just be really realistic and communicate well. So we're there to make your day easier,
Yes.
in essence. So like the more information you can give to us, the better we can respond.
Right. So it's about being open, honest, and giving the information to the coaches to enable them to do what they do.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, and then just having realistic expectations. So if in training you've only ever benched 80 kilos,
Yep.
you don't want to be opening on 80 kilos in a competition. So
Or 120.
yeah, or opening at
Yeah.
100.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's quite a tough thing for a coach when an athlete is coming in too high and then bombing out of the competition, because especially in squat, you want to then try and manage them for the rest of the competition so they can be there and get the experience.
Yeah, I, I mean we watch warm ups very closely anyway,
Hmm.
so
Yeah.
we we tend to manage everything from the second you get there until the second you leave the competition. So we're going to manage your warm ups, we're going to time it for you, we're going to get you in the right place at the right time.
Right.
So we look for little things along the way that might be like hints on whether your opener's looking like it's a good choice or whether it's a bad choice. Recently we haven't had many people giving like unrealistic openers, so it's been quite good.
Okay, fantastic. The one thing that I noticed at World Bench, and it's also been said to me, you guys have a great coaching team and a great coaching structure. So it's more than just one guy or one girl coming in to try and do everything. And everyone's got their roles, whether it's equipped bench or raw bench, or three lifts equipped, three lifts raw, or coming in as a handler. You might be a coach for one specific lift, but you're working as a handler for the other lifts. How did you guys develop the coaching team, and also the culture of, I'm not the coach for this event, I'm the handler, I'm going to just sort of do what I'm told, rather than second guessing?
So a lot of that depends on who the head coach is. So the different head coaches have slightly different systems.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about slipping into those systems and trying to run with it, rather than
Right.
causing friction. So there tends to be, at a competition, normally someone will take charge of warm-ups, and organising the athletes within warm-ups, getting the slips filled out, getting them to weigh-ins. And once warm-ups have finished, we tend to have a team, it's like a handling and numbers team.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have people prepping athletes to go out onto the platform, and then the head coach and maybe someone else looking at numbers to make decisions that way. So we've got someone looking after the athletes before they're in the competition, someone looking after the athletes when they're competing, and
Right.
then maybe one or two people looking at numbers and sort of floating around to whatever areas they needed to be.
Okay. Has it always been that structure, or has it evolved from a single coach, as an example?
It's evolved over the last couple of years, but I wouldn't be able to say where it's evolved from.
Okay. Eh,
Maybe Sheridan
mm,
has probably influenced it quite a lot, I'd say, because the way he coaches, he sort of does zones, like someone's in one zone, someone else is in another zone. But some of the coaches do like to assign a lifter to a handler.
right.
That's only possible, obviously, when you've got enough handlers for the lifters. So you
Right.
might end up with a couple. But yeah, so the actual the sequencing of controlling the warm ups and then into the handling team, that's probably evolved over the last 2 or 3 years.
Okay. And it seems to be
So
working very, very well.
yeah, it's getting, I wouldn't say it's getting more complex, but to make things simpler.
Yeah.
But the
And
actual setting up of it is getting more complicated, but
right.
on the day it makes things a lot easier.
Absolutely. Sure. I suppose it's all the work before, right? And makes things run smoothly. So now, Rebecca, a question for you. What's it like, and do you develop relationships or a special connection with athletes that you mentioned you had a world record in the squat? It got taken
Yeah.
by someone else and then moved well ahead. Do you find you develop a special relationship with your fellow world record breakers?
Yeah, I mean, it's not just the world record breakers, and it's not like an elite club. It's anyone that I
Mm,
share a platform with, really.
right.
If I share a warm up room with you, if I share a bar with you, if I chat to you in general, it generally, that connection goes on much further than just that day. It goes on. We'll chat on Instagram, things like that, back and forth, and I I am really my own competition, and it's nice to see people. Like, records are there to be broken, and people are going to break them. It's not going to, if it's the same record forever, it makes the sport a bit boring.
Yes.
So records are there to be broken, and I am there to see other people break them. I will cheer people on as loud as I can, even if they are there breaking a record that I currently hold.
Yes.
Um, I mean, within Britain, there's a group of a few of us that when we get to British Championships, it's going to be really nice this year, actually, because there's four of the super heavyweight ladies. I think there's four, or maybe five of us that
Mm.
compete together at British, but only two of us could go to British this year. But because Commonwealth is in the same place at the same time, two of them are competing for Scotland. We've
Oh,
got
brilliant.
another lady. I think we've got someone from Wales, so it's going to be a really nice packed warm up area with people that I class as friends, and that I'm always there cheering and supporting as much as everyone else. So
Oh, brilliant. I think that's something that's so unique. And there may be some other sports where it happens, but I don't think at the level where it does in powerlifting, where the people you are competing against, the ones who are going after your records, you're cheering the loudest for.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Because
what do you
I
think that is? Where does that come from?
I mean, I don't know. I think it's just I like to see other people do their best, and I like to compete against people when they're having their best day. And if their
Yeah,
best day means that they break one of my records or they beat me by 2.5 kilos, they deserve that, because as long as I've done my best and they've done their best, I'm cheering them on all the way.
absolutely. And that's for me, I mean, personally, that's what I love about the sport, and everyone should be in it. Absolutely. So, now, what was it? What did it feel like breaking a world record?
Um,
I'm just looking at Craig's smile because he's getting a
uh,
question after this.
I've not broken a world record, so that's fine.
Yeah.
for me, I don't think it really sank in, because it was a number that I'd done every day, and it was moving up to the Masters. It was a number that was well within reach for me. And I mean, since I think I broke it February last year, and
Hmm.
since then it's been broken 7 or 8 times, and it's gone from I want to say a 203 kilo squat to Monique now has a 225 kilo squat in like less than 18 months. It's gone up
Yeah.
by over 20 kilos. So it's constantly being passed back and forth between the there's three of us that have broken it in the last 18 months. And it is amazing to know that I've had a world record, but it's not something that ever really sank in.
I think at Euros it's sanking, or Worlds last year it sank in quite well. I
Yeah.
think like
Mm,
Euros you had to work hard. Not you didn't have to work hard for it, but you got one
Yeah.
squat in, missed one squat on judges, and then we still put the record on, and then you
Yeah, that
broke it.
that was nerve-wracking then. But yeah.
so, Craig, for you, what was it like standing in the tunnel, watching Rebecca break a world record? I mean, and that's literally lifting a weight that hasn't been lifted in that competition series before.
Nerve wracking. Yeah, no. No, it felt amazing to watch, and I felt so happy when she did it. So um, it's yeah, it's very nerve wracking because obviously you've got the edge of the competition on you as well.
Yes.
So you're a bit like, is it the right decision to go for the record, or should we just take in some kilos?
Mm.
Normally, the right decision is to go for the record. So, but yeah, it was an amazing feeling. I think it's always amazing, no matter who it is, watching someone break a world, a European, a Commonwealth record, even like a British record,
Yep.
even down to like a divisional record.
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing watching someone push themselves to that limit, you know, and finding new limits within the sport. You know, who thought that the female masters squat record was going to be 220 plus
Yeah.
Yep.
when a year ago it was like 200 or whatever.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
so
And then even to the Open, the Women's Open squat world record over 300 kilos. Now that's
you know,
insane.
Sure, it's absolutely wonderful. So now let's quote Totally Awesome Taylor here for our next question. Her first question was, "The Coglins are quite literally the power couple of great British powerlifting. What's it like for you guys as a couple sharing the sport? Because there's a few, but there's not too many powerlifting power couples. And what's it like being for you guys on a personal level within your marriage to have this thing to share?"
I've only just been allowed to start
Yeah.
in sport,
It
so
was it was it was my sport. I didn't mind you coaching me, but it was my sport. So
Okay.
because when we went to, early on, as Craig said, he comes from a rugby background. So going to the rugby club, I was just always Mrs. Coggle,
Mm-hmm.
Mrs. Craig. And so powerlifting was always going to be my sport. where he was Mr. Coggle, Mr. Bex.
Yeah, Mr.
Um,
Bex.
yeah, but I think the hardest part for us was the coach athlete relationship early on,
Yeah,
and separating when he's in husband mode, when he's in coach mode,
Right.
and knowing that he's not just picking at me, he's trying to make me better.
Yeah.
But now we have that we kind of have that separation, and it works a bit better now than it did
yeah.
to start with.
So apparently, I've got something called a coach's face.
You do have a coach's face.
Yeah.
So,
I think I've seen the face at Sun City. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah, I think early on it was, yeah, the coach. I mean, no wife wants to be told what to do from their husband, whether it's his job or not.
Right. So
You
how
know,
did you
so
stay safe, Craig?
yeah, lots of safe words.
Yeah,
So
safe word. You had a safe word in the gym. Yeah.
um, I think it was just. I think Bex realised I wasn't being a dick when she came and saw me at work, and realised that's just how I talk to people.
Right. Yep.
And I think she was like, "Oh, actually, no, that's just how he coaches."
Yeah.
And I think like I'm just quite blunt and to the point when I coach, so I don't sort of beat around the bush too much.
Hmm.
And I think that helped the coach athlete relationship early on.
I'm forever grateful that you did take the coaching role of it as far as you have, because it makes everything easier for me, keeps me calmer on competition day at internationals, knowing that my coach is one of the coaches that gets to be in the warm-up room with me,
Yes.
and there's someone in there that knows how everything would normally move for me, and will fight my corner I if something doesn't move as well as it should. He will know that, and if something moves exactly as it always does, but to another coach it looks, oh well, we might only put 2.5 kilos on, Craig will be
Right.
there to say, no, it always looks like that, whack another 10 on or something like that.
Yeah.
So I think I'm always forever grateful that you did pick up that coaching and run with it in the powerlifting side of things, and it means we get to experience the world together, really.
Yeah. Absolutely. What's that been like, getting to travel together to comps and going to all these? I mean, Mongolia is, it's when you say Mongolia to a powerlifter, it's like, oh, okay, there's been 4 competitions there in the last 10 years. That's sort of the thing. But for normal people, it's like Mongolia. So it's,
Yeah.
what's the traveling been like, and, getting to compete all over the world?
I mean, it's amazing going to all of these places. Um, we don't necessarily get to see as much of it as we would like to, because Greg does coach. He's coaching for the whole week.
Yes.
Um, so we always try and make it at least one touristy thing, one thing outside of powerlifting. We have to try and do one thing outside of powerlifting to make us aware that we are in a different country, not just in a venue
Yes.
somewhere. And if we can make a holiday out of it as well. So like South Africa, we had a week's holiday before the competition started, and that was amazing.
Brilliant.
And New Zealand, we had a week after, didn't we? So
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. And some of those fun things could be like strapping a fellow coach or teammate to a 2 kilometer zip line at Sun City.
he
And
did that.
yeah, exactly. So how was that?
Oh, that was amazing. I recommend
Yeah,
anyone do it.
absolutely.
Yeah,
So we chat about Sun City as a venue. What was that like for you? What did you enjoy about it?
I think Sun City's an amazing venue. If it was like an hour closer to the airport, it'd be even better. But
Yeah,
as a venue, I mean, it's amazing. Like you feel safe the whole time you're there. Not like the furthest thing away is like a 15 minute walk, or like 2 minutes in a buggy.
yep,
You know, you can jump on a safari from the site. We went mountain biking just off the venue
yep.
on the game reserve.
Yeah.
I broke my bike halfway round. Had to
Okay,
claim the rest of it.
right.
But yeah,
With
I think Sun City as a venue is like, especially for the comp, it was I think it was an amazing setup. All the hotels were really nice. The food was great. The venue was awesome. The venue was massive, wasn't it? So
Yeah.
How big is that arena?
We're
Yeah.
going back this time because we arrived last time we went. It was sort of the start of winter, whereas
Yes.
this time there's more bits that will be open that weren't open when we were there.
You know, it's been so frustrating, and I've discussed it on every podcast because I think it's quite important to me, and it's annoyed me that the Valley of the Waves has been closed and now it's going to be open. So the pools are always fun at the hotels, but the Valley of the Waves is epic. You've got a giant tidal pool, you've got some monster slides, you've got really the slow river where you just plonk yourself in a donut and just float
I'm
around.
so looking forward to it.
You
It
know, there's a
closed the
beach.
day that we arrived last
Yeah.
year.
Oh wow. Yeah. It was just you. Could you not wait a week to do the maintenance, please?
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
so this year it's going to
But
be
I think
open.
today it's fine as long as I
Yeah.
got to experience it once.
Well, absolutely. When we get there, I'm dropping my guys off 2 days early, so at least before setup, they can go to the Valley of Waves for the day. There's I think it's called the Temple of Courage, which at the time was the highest, fastest slide in the world. There's the bridge that you walk over that shakes a little bit. It's an absolute blast. So definitely, you bring your bathing suits, and it's going to be a lot
Yeah.
of fun. So it's going to be awesome. So you spoke about the food. What did you think, sort of the South African food? I know the breakfasts are pretty great. South African meats and stuff. I know the pricing at Sun City is not as affordable as the rest of South Africa, but I suppose because it is a result. A result. Wow, I think I've run out of caffeine. It is a resort, and oh, here we have another question from Andrew, which we'll get to now. But I mean, how were the prices? Were they
For us,
reasonable?
South African prices is pretty cheap compared to our UK prices.
Or,
So
yeah.
we were like, oh, the funny story. The first day that we arrived, we'd gone because we had people cut in and trying to make weight. They decided that Nando's was the easiest place for everyone to get something to eat. So
Yes.
Craig and I had opened up the menu and there was just a chicken and rice, and we were like, chicken and rice. It's about £10. That's
Yep.
fine. Oh, that's lovely. I'll have that. You have that. So we ordered chicken and rice each, and it was a family platter of a whole chicken with a
Yep.
pile of. We ended up it went in our fridge back at the apartment for about a week. We were
it was like they kept on bringing out this food, and we were like, "Oh my god, what have we done?"
You're expecting the little bowl with the strips and the rice in it. Yeah, absolutely.
Even the rice was like 4 portions. It
Yep.
was a mountain. I
We
think we ended up putting it on the table, and no one could eat it. And it was just
right. Oh wow. So I know there are a couple of the restaurants there where you guys have hung out as teams and stuff. It's a lovely vibe in the entertainment center. A lot of fun. We've got a question from Andrew Mills. What's been your favorite competition?
mine. I was thinking about this the other day, and I can't remember where I said. What's been your favourite competition?
um, I loved the second Commonwealth that I coached at.
The New
New
Zealand.
Zealand. Mm,
Yeah.
And that was the first time I probably coached properly for a whole week. Um, yeah, that was for me that was a really good. Um, you just got so invested in the whole comp. It was you just lived it, breathed it for like a whole week,
right.
and I thought it was amazing. Um, I think my most emotional comp would have been when you first became European champion.
Yeah, I think that's one of my favourite competitions was Hungary World Championship, European Championships, wasn't it? We had
I
there
didn't
was
cry.
there was a lot of banter in the warm up room. It was just fun. We were there to have fun, and yeah, it was a good it was a good day and a good
So have fun.
competition. Yeah.
So just to ask a side question, you don't have to answer this. Which team coach has the best banter or the best chirps and comments?
Well, you have banter with the Irish coaches, don't you, a lot?
The Irish coaches are good fun.
And
Yeah.
now the Swedish athletes.
Yeah, I've got a lot of banter at the minute with Rasmus from Sweden.
Okay. Excellent.
And Garrett's normally quite good to banter with from
Right.
Canada.
Okay.
I don't know. I've seen to banter with anyone.
Yeah.
To be honest.
So I suppose the answer is you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the common denominator.
Yeah. Brilliant. So, can we chat a little bit about the team? What are the numbers that are coming out? Can you chat about any expectations? I know it's just out of the comp, so it's usually not something we want to talk about. But
What numbers? What athletes will hit?
yeah, well, yeah. Just, I mean, are you expecting anything fun? Anyone like someone who's first comp? What are they coming for? Anyone that you'd
I don't
like to
know. I
mention?
know there's one person's already claimed the bet, so there was 5 of us with a bet on. One person's already hit, and the other 4. Is it 4? No, 3. Sorry, there was
Right,
4 of us with a bet on. One person's already hit the number, so there's still 3 of us who are in the Commonwealth who have got the. So it's the first person to bench 275, and
right.
then the rest of us have to buy them steak.
Oh, excellent. How big a steak?
Well, that's not specified actually, in fairness. But
You guys need a South African overseer here because that's not, you said steak. How big?
yeah, so
Is it
that's
a minute?
me.
It's half. It's 200 grams from Tesco's. It doesn't count.
Yeah, no, definitely not one
Yeah.
from Tesco's. Yes, that's me, Joseph
Well,
Shaw,
there
and
goes the
Darren
Tesco.
Ball.
Craig, sorry to interrupt. There goes the Tesco sponsorship. Thank you. So you were saying, right? So the first one to hit 275.
Bench press, yeah,
Mm,
is yeah, the others have to buy them steaks. That's me, Joseph Shaw, and Darren Ball.
right.
Scott Simon's already pressed it, so he's already claimed his steak.
Yeah, you bought
Okay.
that in
Yeah,
Turkey
I bought him that
recently.
in Turkey.
Brilliant.
So I think Scott Simon could be good for a 300 plus bench press.
Sure.
I don't know if
Wow.
he's doing it currently though.
I think he's just doing work like the world full power, isn't he?
Yeah, so maybe not. So, but yeah, other numbers I don't really know,
Okay,
and
that's
it's not
fine.
really
Yeah.
my place to
Yeah.
disclose them either.
No, no,
So
no. 100%. We don't want any disclosure here. So I'm not going to, I don't want to be at Sun City and have all the big blokes going, Oi, you.
I imagine Garrett's going to try 402 again
Yeah, he
Sure.
because he
likes.
tried it at Canadian Nationals.
Right.
So
Oof.
so that's me coming not first.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I like the terminology. It's not second, it's just not first. So there we go. Yep. Speaking about steak, one of the things with Potchefstroom, we had the Commonwealth there. I think it was in 2017.
Yeah,
Yeah, and had a couple of the British guys that came out, or the Great Britain guys, and that I'd been to Alicante with to do the IPF level 2 coaching certificate, and great guys. And there's a restaurant there where if I stand to be correct, I think it's still 100 rand for, so what's that, like 40 pence, 100 rand for a kilo T-bone steak. So I think that's
wow.
five. Yeah, it's about £5, £6 for a fantastic steak. It's called the Corporasi. So hopefully we can get another international in Potch. It's a very quiet town, but it's worthwhile going there just for that. And so definitely, maybe on the way back, if you can chat to Hani about your trip, he's got to take you, instead of going straight to the airport, you've got to go via Potchefstroom to the restaurant called Corporasi for a steak. It's absolutely brilliant. So, yep. For you guys, is there anything in particular you'd like to chat about? Anyone you want to give a shout out to? Anyone you'd like to mention?
No, just the whole team. Like,
Yeah.
just wishing the whole team, like all the teams,
Mm,
want it to be an amazing championships. Like, want everyone to get involved.
And Sun City is an amazing place. I think it's where we had really good team camaraderie because
yes.
everyone with that open plan like the restaurants and everything like that, it's a really great place to be, and I'm really looking forward to getting out there with the rest of the team and just having some fun again.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
definitely.
It's going to be a blast. Absolutely. Guys, I just want to say thank you so much for your time, and thank you to our viewers and to Totally Awesome Taylor. Now we know why it's called Totally Awesome Taylor, for the questions. Also to Andrew. It's just, we love having people getting involved in this. And, from my side, the reason that we're doing this, as that we chatted about, is this is the most incredible sport. And I've been sober for the 23rd of October is going to be 18 years. And
Congratulations.
thank you. And that, I've been able to work with a lot of addicts in recovery. I work at rehab centers as part of my service, and just seeing the principles of getting the guys in to lift. And there's some of the guys who have won Commonwealth and have achieved incredible things within powerlifting from the South African team that have been in recovery. And just to see how they can apply these healthy steps and lifestyles, and the fact that the powerlifting gains are linear, right? That if you want 100, you got to work for that 100, and it might be 3 years away, but you can see your progress towards it. And I think that's what makes it so incredible. I just want the sport to have more exposure. I want more people to get involved as athletes, as coaches, and also as sponsors. I just think really everybody's self-funding, and as you said, the more people that can step up to sponsor something, a healthy, just well balanced, kind, community, that's who you'd really want to associate your brand with. The powerlifting's the best sport. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We've got a question here. I'm going to post it on the screen because I'm not going to be able to pronunciate the name. I do apologize. I'm sure you'll recognize this. Is it true that Northern Ireland is going to finish top?
Can you move the question up? I'm trying to see it's from.
Oh, sorry. Hang on a bit. There we go. So is it Trudy
Well,
Trash? Hang on. Hold on. There we go. It's back up again. Yeah.
I'm going to have to say no to that because we're Team England. So
Yes.
yeah,
So I
Northern
believe,
Ireland.
yeah, I believe in sports circles that's called smack talk.
Yes, exactly.
I can see them coming. First loser. So
Okay. Hold on a second. Just another. So I do look forward to having the Irish coach on, or your Northern Ireland. And by the way, this is something I'm trying to figure out because being South African, we don't really know the intricacies of because we left. And we didn't really leave, we half left, but yeah. So they call independence. But sort of chatting to Will, one of the Welsh lifters, and I was going, "Oh, what's it like being part of the GB team and the support of the?" And he was like, it's like, I think I asked the wrong question. Tell us,
yeah.
I mean, the Welsh team. So, so there's fun rivalry between the different countries, right?
Yeah, we have our own.
It's with it being the Commonwealth. So
Mm.
so GB isn't a Commonwealth country because GB is a
Yeah,
collection of
GB's,
countries.
yeah, of the
Yeah,
countries, and then you got Britain, which is
yeah.
Yeah.
the mothership.
So we have our own little competition every year called the Home Nations, which is England versus Ireland
Right,
versus Scotland, Wales, and the Isle of Man. There's 5 of us now and it's last year it was in Northern Ireland. This year I believe it's going to be in Scotland, and yeah, it's always a good, fun competition if you can
right.
get involved in it, and it's always there's always competition,
Oh, brilliant. So,
but
Trudy, I
it
hope,
is friendly banter.
yes, I hope that answers the question. Is anyone from Isle of Man coming out? How's Isle of Man powerlifting?
Yeah, I think there's a couple coming out, aren't there? It's a
Yeah.
still a small community out there, but it is
Mm,
growing. Um, and yeah, I think,
It's their first year as like an independent.
well, no,
Is it second year, maybe?
they had a team in New Zealand, didn't they?
Oh yeah.
And I think
right,
I haven't seen how many are coming out from the Isle of Man, but I think I have seen a few.
Yeah.
right. Do they have their own independent federation? Is that on Instagram?
Yeah, so
Okay,
they are. Um, they are classed as the fifth nation of our home nations.
Okay.
Now they have their own Isle of Man powerlifting fed. So yeah,
Brilliant.
they're classed as their own nation
Okay,
in the
excellent.
Commonwealth as well.
Oh, brilliant! If you could, like, I'll have a look for it. But if you find, would you be able to send it to me? Because to find the Canadian Powerlifting Federation on Canadian Powerlifting Union Federation on on Instagram was a challenge. So I eventually found someone to chat to, which is great. So we want the guys. What I realized with doing this is rather than reach out to individual lifters, reach out to Craig and
Yeah,
just
trying
go,
to get
hey,
everyone
dude, yeah,
involved.
you know, just put us in touch with it. It was like last night I got to sleep about 11:15 after a 4 a.m. start because I was just after you posted, I was just getting these ton of messages. They're still coming through. So I really wanted to say thank you for that, because I think every athlete deserves exposure. Every athlete deserves, to chat to us, just to get out there. So the world needs to know this is the best dance sport in the world.
I think Caroline's excited about it, so
Oh, good. Well, we're looking forward to. Well, I suppose this and rugby, but only I suppose if you keep winning World Cups in a row and stuff, it just. I don't follow. I don't even follow rugby. So like my mate, everyone's going, what? I was at an awards banquet last year for the breakfast before the banquet, and Nick Mallet was the coach. Was the guest speaker, and I was like, it was like, who? He looks familiar. It's like everyone's looking at me like, really, dude? You're an embarrassment for a South African. All right, brilliant. Anyone you'd like to do some smack talk for before we go? Any comments? Oh, look at Craig! I can see the gears turning there.
Oh,
Um,
just tell Joe I'm coming for you.
all
Get my
right, there we
steak
go.
ready.
Yeah, get that steak ready. Absolutely. Hang on a second. What have we got here for this one? Done. Joe, did you hear that? All right, prepare the steak. What size steak?
Oh, I don't know. We'll decide on the day at the
All right.
restaurant.
Cool. Does it count if it's under a kilo? I mean, is that really even a steak, or is that an entree? Um, so,
I suppose
so
in South Africa that is an entree, isn't it?
Absolutely, 100%. You got to build guys like Ibn. Come on, they've got to be big. I think
Yeah.
we scared a lot of the Americans with him. So, oh, guys, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And also at such short notice, thank you for agreeing to come on live as well. It was a lot of fun. I think I've got about 20 to 25 podcasts booked already. So the live format is a huge help because I don't have to edit anything in post and then re-upload and wait for it to upload. So it's here already, which is brilliant. So thank you, guys. I can't wait to see you again. And
thank you for having us.
no, it's absolutely brilliant. If there's anyone else you'd like to bully to coming on, maybe a coach with a beard, ex-army. There was, maybe a coach with a former beard. We'd love to chat to them as well. All right, I'm gonna end the recording and the live stream, and then I'll just say bye to you off stream. Thank you, guys.
See you later.
Yeah.